Hey there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for being here on the Marketing Stream Live. I was laughing when I came in because I was reading one of Diana's comments, Diana Wilson, who was here early, and she was saying hello, but then she's just like, hey, I am dancing around the room while the video is counting down. So I had 10 seconds left, and when I responded, I was still thinking of that. So great way to start the video and this week 7 of 8 in a series that I've been doing to wind down 2020 and prepare for 2021. So this week I am talking about business acceleration tips or techniques or ideas or things that you can consider to move into 2021 if you're in a position with your business to accelerate or grow it. Now, I know that 2020 has been a crazy year for everyone, no matter where you are, what you do, or where you live. So I know this isn't going to be applicable for some people who are just trying to stabilize their business or keep the doors open and just keep things running as they can and just continue to thrive into 2021. Or survive, I should say, just survive into 2021. So yeah, I'm live, Diana. Yay, I made it. So we're on here now. Thank you so much for being here, Diana. I appreciate you being here live. So week 7 of 8, yeah, business acceleration tips. So I'll tap into those, but real quick, I wanted to review 2 things. The first thing I'd mentioned a while back, I think it was at the beginning of this series, that I was going to discontinue doing my live streams every Wednesday. I'll probably still do lives, but they won't be scheduled. I mean, I will schedule them ahead of time, but I'm not going to put them on any recurring pattern like I have been, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I feel the need to go live, or if there is a need to go live, or somebody's requesting me go live for a reason, then obviously I will do so. But instead, I do want to continue providing value to you. And in addition to the video I upload every Thursday. So what I'm going to do, and there is a link that I will share with you here. It's also in the description below. What I'm going to do is, yeah, there we go. I'm going to start doing channel reviews. Again, this isn't going to be live. I'm going to do them recorded, and then I'm going to upload them on a weekly basis as well. I'm going to try this in January and see if I have enough interest in my input and reviewing a channel. It could be like one page of your website, or it could be like your Facebook page, or it could be your LinkedIn profile or something like that. But the goal behind that is to help establish your brand in the place where your ideal customers are spending the most time, so that the message that you're sending out to them is in a way that's going to not only attract them to you, but also to showcase why they should follow you, connect with you, subscribe to you, connect with you, whatever the case may be, whatever channel you're on. So I wanted to do that. There's at this bit.ly link, it's a form you fill out, and then you just tell me what social channel you want me to review. So my intent behind this is to focus on like one channel, of course, and then invest 3 to 5 minutes on a channel, and it will be recorded so that it'll be included in a weekly video. So my plan as of right now is to do 2 or 3 a week. So I want to keep those video timestamps lower, at least for right now. If there's a huge demand for this at some point, then I'll probably increase it. But starting off, even if I just get 1 for the first week in January, then I'll just do 1. But my goal behind that is to just help you, for being here, for watching my channel, for being a subscriber, and just coming here for helpful, valuable, actionable information that you can use in your business to help, you with your business goals. So, so Diana sees it. Let's hear, exciting. I want a review for sure. Audits are great. Awesome, Diana. Yeah, you can go ahead and fill out that form, and I'll keep track of it that way too. So Yeah, it would be great. I would love to help you out and do an audit for you as well. So the other thing that I wanted to mention, so the link's there, it's in the description as well. So you can just click that link. It'll take you to a landing page. I'm using ConvertKit, which I've talked about before. If you're interested in ConvertKit and using something similar, you're looking for a way to drive traffic to either a landing page, you don't have a website, and you want a landing page, and you want to start collecting email addresses, ConvertKit is a great resource for doing that. And then they also have forms that you can create that you can put on your website. You can embed them in your website different ways. They can either be displayed when somebody tries to exit, or you can actually have them embedded in your website content. So if that's something of interest, I will go ahead and put that in the description as well. It's not there currently because I didn't think about putting it in there, but I will add it. I will add a note to myself, ConvertKit link. So if you want to do that, then you'll have access to that. It is an affiliate link. So if you click on that and you choose to purchase a program through that link, then I would get some type of commission on that purchase. The thing is, the good thing to you is it costs the same no matter what, if you go through my link or if you go directly to ConvertKit. So I will include that there. So if you choose to do that, it's available to you. The second thing that I wanted to mention is my video that will be posted tomorrow on YouTube. It'll be uploaded and available tomorrow on YouTube. It is about creating a content strategy for your business. And I've also created a template that you can use that's going to be super helpful in really honing in on those content pieces, macro, like, blog posts and videos, and then also micro, so that you can find ways to repurpose existing content that you've already created, so you don't feel like you're on this hamster wheel of constantly creating content. And the reason why I say this is because I've been in that situation, and it's exhausting trying to always create brand new content. So there's this huge sigh of relief, a lot of pressure off my shoulders. And I want you to experience that same thing, is that when you can repurpose existing content, then it helps alleviate some of that pressure on you so that you can focus on things that you need to in your business and not feel like you always have to be promoting yourself or always out there creating new content when what you have is still relevant and it's still high quality. It's driving traffic. So why not continue to use it, right? So the video tomorrow is about that. The template will be available to you to download. And the point behind that is that the template is you can use it and you can actually create your content strategy for a micro piece of content in like less than 10 minutes. So it's super easy, super helpful, and I can't wait to get that out there. So if you're watching this and you are not a subscriber, go ahead and click subscribe now and the bell notification so you know when new videos are uploaded. And also don't forget to like this video while you're here, right? And then you'll know when the video is uploaded tomorrow. So thank you very much for that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this week's topic. Again, this is week 7 of 8. Next week, which is December 30th, I believe. It is, yeah, so next Wednesday, the last week, week 8 of 8. And the last week I will be going live every week is December 30th. So I will still go live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At that time, I'll be talking about creating raving fans. So it's a great way to end the year, great way to end December, great way to end the series, and have all the content out there that you need for 2021. But today, the reason why you're here today is to go over the business acceleration tactics, tips, tools, resources, you name it. I'm going to go back over here real quick to Diana. Exciting, want to review. Okay, awesome. Content strategy is awesome. Yeah, it was actually fun creating this. I enjoyed it. Any way you can find it, just continue to market your brand, right? It's just, to me, that's fun. Okay, so business acceleration. The first tip I have is, so I've got 5. The first one is instead of cold calling, so if you're looking for ways to generate new business, new sales, you want to reach a wider audience and you're just not attracting those individuals through your existing strategies. Of course, watching the video tomorrow will help with that. But right now, what you can do instead of cold calling is to be a podcast guest. Now, I have my podcast, Connect the Dots, which I've paused for a while, but of course, all episodes are still out there for you to access. That link is in the description as well. So I've had a podcast. I've had guests on my podcast. I've been a guest on other people's podcasts. And I know Diana, her and I had actually met, and she was a guest on my podcast, and that's how her and I connected. So it is a great resource for tapping into your audience by sharing your expertise, how you help existing clients, and then leverage that person's network and audience to get the word out for your business. So it's actually a lot easier and a lot less time consuming for you if you are a guest on someone else's podcast versus creating your own podcast, which is very time consuming. And as I've mentioned before, I did a short on it, a YouTube short. I've also done a video on it, that starting your own podcast requires thought and it requires a strategy. And without that, you're setting yourself up to fail, and not to extend the duration of that podcast for any length of time, because you're going to get bored of it. You're not going to see the results that you want to. So you have to go into it with a strategy. But if you go into looking at business acceleration or business growth tactics, being a guest on someone else's podcast is a great route to take. Now, you might be asking, okay, well, there's 2.5 million podcasts out there. How do I even find the podcast that would be a good fit for me? So what I did was, ahead of time, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to redo my, I apologize that my voice always seems to get this way during this time. So what you can do is in Google is just do a simple search. So a couple of searches that I did was, podcast for, we're going to do podcast for attorneys. That was one that I did. So if we go in here and we do that, you can simply see that you've got this whole list of different podcasts that you can choose from. Now, you are obviously going to have to invest some time in researching and finding out, this is a legal toolkit podcast. So what is that? If you're an attorney, you more than likely know what that is or what type of content might be in there, and whether or not that audience is going to be a good fit for you. You may want to go into lawyer to lawyer. There's a whole list of these, but let's just say, you're going into podcast for manufacturing. So you can type that in and you'll get a whole list of podcasts that are dedicated to manufacturing. Now, if you're manufacturing a certain type of tool, or if you work with a certain type of metal, or if you work in a particular industry that has to do with manufacturing, then you can obviously narrow the search down on that too. But finding a podcast to be a guest on is super easy. The second step to that is reaching out to the host and asking them if you could be a guest. I should say that's actually step 3. The second step, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste their time, is to listen to a couple of their episodes and listen to the type of content, how they are as an interviewer. Look to see how they market their episodes. What are the requirements of you as a guest in marketing that episode if you become a guest on their episode? So you will want to listen to a couple, I would always say like 2 to 3 episodes, just so you can get a feel for the format and the engagement that the podcast host has with their guests, and make sure that that initial feeling that you get is going to be a good vibe or good fit for you. We know that there's people out there that we just don't vibe with, or we just don't interact that well with. And the worst thing you could do for yourself and them and the podcast and everything else is get on an episode, be a guest, and it just not go the way that you want to. It's a very awkward or difficult conversation. So that's not good for anybody. So just do some of that due diligence ahead of time. Once you've narrowed down the list of podcasts that would fit for the target audience that you want to target, and it's a good vibe for you, you think that you would have a great conversation with this podcast host, and you could be providing a lot of value to their audience, then reach out to them and ask them if you can be a guest. I always recommend that as part of that request, that you include a key takeaway from one of the episodes that you listen to, or mention one of the episodes that you listened to and what it was that drove you to send that request to be a guest on their podcast. That's going to tell them up front that you have genuine interest in serving their audience and providing value to them and their audience. Now, I know this, again, from being a podcast host, and the best guests were those that had done their homework ahead of time, had gone out and they'd actually mentioned it in their request. And then those guests were the ones that actually marketed the episode afterwards, right? Because it's a win-win. It's not just for you as a guest to leverage their audience, but it's the same thing with any relationship. It's give and take, right? So if you're going to be on there, help them promote it while you're also promoting yourself, but then you're also tapping into a brand new audience that you didn't otherwise have access to. So just look at it from that perspective. But so that would be the first thing. So if you're thinking about expanding your brand, bringing on new customers, and the thought of cold calling is just, gut wrenching, then consider, looking at podcasts and being a podcast guest. So that was the first one. The second tip, I'm going to go over here. I think Diana had said, yeah, I love being a podcast guest. She was a great guest. And I think, Diana, if I remember correctly, I think my podcast your first? No, I think mine was your second. I think you were on Peter Sumpton's the first time, and then you were on mine. Mine was the second one, if I remember correctly. It could be the opposite, but starting a podcast is a lot like starting a YouTube channel. Lots of work. Absolutely. I can agree with you more. I've done both. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube. And like I mentioned, the podcast, both a ton of work, just with anything. You have to work at it. You have to have strategy. You have to follow through. You have to think outside the box. How can you do something different? How can you constantly provide value, just with, as you do with anything, right? So, yeah, I was the second. Okay. I wasn't sure if first or second, but I think that's what it was. Hey, Monique. Yay, Monique's here. It's so good to see you. You've had so many great videos lately that I've gone out and watched. Yeah, awesome videos. So it's always fun to watch your videos, especially the ones with the animals. But I love the one that you were talking about, how you met your husband too, and through your business. So that was pretty cool. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about, if you're looking at hiring a resource and you're only put money in your budget for one person, and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to hire a sales rep. And you're like, I just don't know, because salespeople, hit or miss, you just don't know what you're going to get. They can tell you what they want just to sell you on the fact of hiring them. But if you think through it and look at the salary or the money that you had invested for hiring a salesperson, instead hire a videographer. I know that sounds crazy because they're so completely different. But as we know, if you're watching this video, if you're here live, thank you so much for being here live. Hey, Scully. Hey, it's good to see you here. That's awesome. Hope you're doing well. I always appreciate you coming in here and commenting on my videos. So thank you very much. It's always great to see your name, and it's great to see you here live. So thanks for being here. So yeah, if you look at it from a videographer standpoint, is that you can leverage so much more with a videographer. Just like now, I've got the weekly videos, I've got the lives, I've got video clips I can do. Instead of doing the editing myself, I could actually have somebody else do that, which would free me up to focus in my business more and actually focus on some of those growth strategies myself. So if that is something that you're looking to do, the opportunities or ideas that you could use with a videographer versus a sales rep are just, there's so many of them that you would definitely maximize that investment beyond anything that you could ever imagine with a sales rep. Now, if you're looking to increase your sales and are going in 100% commission with a sales rep, then that's completely understandable. So that means that they go out, they sell something for you, they get paid once they sell. So there's no base plus commission, it's just 100% commission. So that would work for a business that doesn't have the budget to actually hire a resource. So if that's the direction that you're headed, then yes, definitely do that. Because if you can get help to bring in the money or the customers into your business, and that's part of your growth strategy, then that is definitely going to help catapult your business in that direction. Awesome. Everybody saying hello to each other. Love that. Your channel's looking great. Oh, thanks, Scully. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm working on it. Just like Diana said, and I just mentioned, it's a lot of work, and you know that too, because your channel is awesome. The third thing that I was going to review is and obviously in 2020, this wasn't possible, but I know a lot of events were canceled. And at events, there are people who go to just be an attendee, or they go to represent their company. And that could be with a booth, or it could be with some type of event or sponsorship, or just networking. So through 2020, we've all found new ways to continue moving forward, even though we couldn't be in person. So one of the drawbacks initially that people saw was that we don't get to have that booth presence. So they had to create new opportunities to continue moving forward in the intention behind wanting to have a booth at an event. So if you're looking into 2021 and saying, hey, if things go back to being in person and you're still thinking about doing a booth, this would actually be an opportunity for two different things. You could do a hybrid solution. So you could do a smaller booth, but still do something online. Or I always recommend, just because I don't think the money you invest in an event like that, especially as a booth, that, as a like a vendor attending an event and having a booth where you share your demos or new products or whatever, I just don't think it's worth the money. And this is from my own experience working for companies and actually being responsible for all of that. We never saw a positive ROI from having a booth. We were always upside down with the financials. So knowing that that was more about brand impression and brand recognition and repetition and just announcing new products, that made sense. But at the same time, if you're looking at it strictly from a financial perspective, the other things that you could do instead of having a booth at an event is to obviously take it online. So instead of doing a one major event, which is what having a booth at an event like that, an in-person event, does, you could instead have micro events online throughout a month or throughout a quarter or whatever the time frame is, depending on how many different topics or how many different things that you wanted to present, or the goals that you wanted to achieve while you were there. So there's other ways of doing that, and it's just creating your own micro events online. And the chances of you having higher quality leads, higher conversions into sales, and more revenue is going to be a lot higher than if you were to have a booth at an event. So if that's something that you're thinking about, just consider doing micro online events instead. All right, so let's see here. I'm doing some more hellos. I'm just going back through here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. You got me thinking again. I do that, don't I, Diana? That's good. I'm glad. It will be exciting in 2021. Yes, absolutely, Scully. 2021 will rock. That is the plan. Glad to see other people are on board with that. Offering to speak at events is good also. Yes, absolutely. Being a speaker, being if you've got a panel discussion, being one of the panelists, there's all kinds of different ways that you can do that. So yes, great point, Diana. The fourth thing that I wanted to mention is, instead of doing a monthly webinar, you could do weekly live Q&A sessions like what I've been doing here. So my weekly live sessions did not replace or supplement a webinar that I had created. But if you are doing webinars and you have it live every month, you could look at either supplementing that or replacing it into weekly live Q&A sessions. So you're probably thinking, okay, what is that actually going to accomplish? One, it's going to help you with face-to-face interaction so that people can engage with you more, like I am right here with who's here live. And it helps them get to know you, you get to know them, but also you can focus in on specific types of content. So at a, a webinar's higher level, and you may be, aiming for, 3 tips that you can use for creating high quality content that's going to drive sales. And instead of reviewing all 3 of those tips in that one webinar, you can actually break it down into weekly sessions, and it could become tip number 1 the first week, and it's live. You can still review what that is, maybe go a little bit deeper into what that is, but then open it up for Q&A so that if your attendees have questions, then you can engage with them live and answer those questions on demand. So that is a huge benefit to that. As a result of that, you're going to have higher quality content that you can then use later, repurpose later in other ways. So with a webinar, typically it's closed, and you can't take pieces of that webinar session and use it in your social media strategies. So doing it this way, it allows you to have that flexibility, especially if you're doing it on YouTube, where you've got access to the video, you can download it, you can use it in different places, and it allows you to create more content longer term and in shorter increments than if you did a webinar that was covering more topics. Okay, so that's what the purpose behind that is. You're more than likely going to have, webinars is all about getting people on the webinar, right? And then ultimately you're trying to sell them an online course or, a membership of some sort. This way, you're helping build that reputation and increasing trust along the way, so that when that opportunity is there to ask for the sale, sign up for this online course or become a member of this group, then you're going to have higher chances of converting them into that, because now they get to know you. They've asked the questions along the way. It feels more intimate when it's live, and they feel like they're getting more of that dedicated attention versus if you've attended a webinar where you've got, hundreds of people that are on there. You could ask a question and it just goes by fast in the feed that it may or may not get answered, right? So this is just a better way to connect with people, which is going to increase your chances of generating higher quality leads and having a higher conversion ratio. Okay, go back here real quick. Again, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. You have to spell out numbers if they begin the sentence. Really? I wondered why you did that, Scully. I saw that you said 2021 will rock. Interesting. I learned something new today, grammar-wise and on YouTube. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know that I've ever tried that before. Obviously not, because I haven't had that issue. So thank you. The 5th thing is, instead of gating white paper, like a white paper document, consider starting a podcast or YouTube channel. Sorry, I'm trying to read my handwriting. It's always terrible, but I usually try to write it so it's legible. And I also have something else written here. So glasses on. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that can go in there too, because that's part of it. So if you're going to, if you read different articles, people always say one way to generate leads is to publish a white paper, an ebook, and then, people want to subscribe to it. The problem with those is that it's so much content that the chances of them actually reading the entire thing are slim to none. So then you lose that opportunity to convert them into a customer. Even though you gained their email address, the quality of that email address is lower than if you were to provide something of higher value. So creating a podcast or launching a YouTube channel, like we were talking about earlier, Diana, on this video, is that it's extremely time consuming and it does require a strategy. It also does not require email addresses. So that's the part that you would be missing on that. The part that you would gain in that is that you are able to create higher quality content on a regular basis that then you could create. Like I mentioned in my video tomorrow, there's going to be a downloadable document for the content strategy creation. So that's something that's going to require an email address. So if this, it's on my YouTube channel, if I were doing this on a podcast, I could be doing that same thing. And I could be taking the content from that white paper, from that ebook, breaking it up into different pieces of content, and then providing a downloadable, high value, take action type of document that is gated. You're still getting the email address and the person's name, but you're also keeping that person more engaged, and they're more likely to take action on that content because it's smaller and it's actionable. It's not so overwhelming. And I don't know about you, but my attention spans get smaller and smaller. And I think it is for most people these days. So the chances of people reading an entire white paper or an entire ebook are pretty slim. And then just the amount of time that goes by before they actually complete it, and what action did you want them to take, and is the moment kind of lost in that process? So the other piece of that I wrote down that I couldn't read is to look at mundane tasks that are associated with that, or just anything in your business, and find ways to outsource those. So it could be through a VA, or it could be through an intern, or if you know someone who's in college and on a break, and you know they need some financial assistance, you need the help, win-win. So just look at ways that you can do that so that you can spend more time in your business and not so much on your business. So those are the 5 tips. I thought about webinars. How many people get invited? Yeah, that's going to depend on your audience, Scully, like webinars for publishing on my end. Yeah, webinars are actually, they're good. And if you can, and there's different thoughts on maybe short form PDF. Yeah, absolutely. If you can do like a 1-pager PDF or, you know, a 2-pager, the one I'm doing tomorrow is actually 3, but it's a very quick introduction. I'm giving an example, and then I actually give the like a workbook page. So it's all in one document. So it's like super easy. It's not a lot to read. It's just helping explain the process. So yeah, if you can do short form PDFs, that's good. Your webinar participants are going to be contingent upon your audience. But what I'm trying to think back on the numbers that I probably should have looked this up. If you invite, let's just say your audience, your email subscription list is 1,000. If you sent out an email, invited everybody there, hey, I've got a webinar coming up, you know, in 2 weeks, I would say that I think it's 70% of the people will respond and say that they'll attend, but then only like 20 to 30% of those people actually show up. I think. Now, don't quote me on those numbers. I should have looked those up ahead of time, so I apologize for not having that here. That is my fault. I should have done that. But yeah, it's just the numbers of attendees are going to be completely contingent upon how big your audience is and how engaged. So if you have a list of 1,000 subscribers on your email list, but you haven't engaged with them or communicated with them in a year, I mean, you can send it out, but I mean, you're probably going to get a lot of unsubscribes. You're probably going to get a lot of undeliverables. You know, there's going to be a lot of negative reactions to just sending that out because it's not a warm, engaged audience. So that is one of the factors as well. Thought about how to get, publishing. I'm going back through here. Short form PDF. Webinars are good, but it's a numbers game. Yeah, definitely. Definitely a numbers game. I just started with ConvertKit. Very few emails yet. Yeah, so Scully, I would recommend doing some of like what you had said, the shorter form PDF documents and gating those. So they're requiring an email address and name. I always say first name and email address at least, depending on the quality of the content. If it makes sense to add like another form field or 2 form fields, like website or business name or title or something that's applicable to what information you need to understand if they're going to be a good fit for your business, if they're a good persona, then add those as well. But I always tell people keep the minimum number of fields that you want them to complete, because the more you add, the least likely people are to complete it. So no one wants to fill out a form that's got 20 different fields. And there's research that indicates that the fewer the fields, the more people will fill it out. The more the fields, the fewer. So sometimes it's warranted, right? So if you're doing a more in-depth document that you're like, I've spent a lot of time on this, getting this out there is going to really connect me with my ideal customers, or at least help me understand if this is resonating with them. You may want to ask for name, email address, industry, company revenue, or how long they've been in business. Whatever those criteria are, I would actually increase it to 3 or 4 form fields on content like that. So not on every piece of content, but if it's just a one-pager PDF, first name, email address, that's all you need. So I'm sorry, my daughter's called me the second time in a row. So let me just let her know I can't answer the phone. Sorry about that. She normally doesn't call me, and it's concerning that she's calling me 2 times in a row. So I'm sorry. Hold on just a second. Oh, she's calling me a third time. I may have to go. Okay, I gotta go. She's calling me a third time. So I'm gonna have to let you guys go. I think that was about a half hour. I was done walking through the 5 tips. So I think that's it. But again, don't forget to hit like. If you're watching the replay, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And yeah, she's got a very important question, so I need to go. And then watch the video tomorrow if you're interested in creating a content strategy, whether it's in 2021 or it's at any point. It'll be a document that can help organize your thoughts and help get you on the right track to actually taking action on your content strategy. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go through here real quick. Just went through those numbers in a recent video. Ah, nice. Maybe that's where I heard them, Diana. Were those the right numbers, though? It concerns me. Yeah, I wouldn't let it concern you, Scully. I would just say that, focus on building the numbers first. You can actually try to do an initial webinar to generate interest if you just wanted to give it a try and see what the engagement would be like or how receptive people would be. And you don't have to do an hour-long webinar, so you can keep it shorter. In fact, people probably enjoy shorter webinars anyway. So if you could do like maybe a 20, 30-minute webinar, so 20 minutes of instructions and then 10 minutes of Q&A, I bet people would love that. So maybe try that and see what works and see how many people you get to submit their email address. And if you need help with that, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. I have Thinkific open along, just starting at it. Awesome. Yeah, Thinkific digital classes. That's what I am doing mine on as well. So yeah, Diana's a great person. If you have questions on that, reach out to her. She's actually an online course coach, so she can help you with whatever you need. She actually has a video out there on Thinkific and how to build a course on that platform. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Merry Christmas. I appreciate you guys being here live. If you're watching the replay, hit like. Thanks again. I appreciate it. And as always, make today great. Thanks. Bye, guys.